Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to another session of Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars is a real-life board game that my friends and I absolutely adore. We bought like all the expansions for it. It is super fun to play. And the digital adaptation for it is really quite nice, especially it's gotten some post-release support that's been very important, because that release, there was a couple issues, a few crashes, some weaker AI, and one very popular gameplay variant, the draft variant, wasn't included at release, excuse me, and now is available in the game. We've done a few videos of this before, but I got in the mood to do it today, mostly because I've actually been dabbling with Surviving Mars, the Paradox game, and they've got an expansion coming out that involves terraforming it, and I was like, Terraforming Mars. Let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to jump right in. If you've never seen one of my little videos for this before, hey, don't worry about it. I'll explain things as we go. We'll play in regular sort of local mode against the AI, which is different from the solo challenge where you do play on your own and you just have a sort of time limit. I'm going to go ahead and add 3 hard AIs, total of 4 players. You can go up to 5 here, but then you have to wait a little bit longer in between turns. So I think 4 is kind of a nice sweet spot over here. We'll do that. The corporate era rules is definitely what you want to play with. That's sort of the full game, as opposed to the standard game, which is a little faster and is a good intro. But corporate era rules, and yeah, we'll play with the draft variant on. In real life with my friends, we don't play actually with the draft variant. And while it does add, or I should say, it reduces the sort of some of the random elements of the game, as well as increasing the strategy a little bit. It does slow down the game a fair bit because there's an extra step of decisions that people are making every single generation. Instead, what we do to try to reduce some of the randomness and increase the odds that you can find pieces for whatever combo you're going with, what my friends and I do is each generation, rather than draw 4 cards from the project deck, we draw 5, but we're still limited to only buying a maximum of 4. That way it just gives you 1 extra card to look at and potentially piece together whatever kind of combo you're going with. And it seems to work really well for us. We really enjoy just doing that sort of little house rule to keep up the speed. Because we do have a couple people in the group. Well, first of all, we play with 5 players, so it's a longer game. We got a couple of people in the group who are very big on thinking everything through to the extreme, which can slow down the game pace just a scooch. All right, we're going to choose our corporation here. You can choose a beginner corporation. Which is nice, but not very customized. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose one of the advanced corporations here. Now you'll notice if I select beginner corporation, I can just hit confirm, but if I hit one of the more advanced ones, it actually goes to next. The reason is, the start of the game, you draw 10 project cards. The beginner corporation gets to keep all 10. The advanced ones, you have to buy the ones that you keep. But what you do get to do is you do get to look at your 10 starting cards before you lock down your corporation. So the ones that are being offered here are Terractor over here. Control entire nations, lawyers, businessmen, Terractor all the way to the top. Sky's calling, strongest corporation on Earth wants to dominate space. We'd start with 60 mega credits. That's a ton of money. That is an insane amount of money. And when playing an Earth card, you pay 3 ME less for it. Okay. All right, I like it, because we haven't played with this one on video yet. Thorgate over here, start with 48 bucks, which is actually pretty good compared to some of the other corporations as well. And we start with 1 energy production, and cards with the power tag on it, or the standard power plant project, cost 3 less. I really quite like Thorgate. The thing is, I've never played as Terractor, so I'm sort of tempted to play as them, but let's go ahead and see what our 10 cards will be. So these are our 10 cards we start with. It's 3 megabucks each to purchase a card to put into your hand. Now it's worth noting, I go back to the corporations, I can no longer choose a starter corporation. I have to choose one of these 2. So either we're going to choose something that has a bunch of maybe Earth tags or a bunch of power tags. So what do we got? What's the industrial center? Oh yeah, spend $7 to increase your steel production by 1 step. Right. Fuel factory, tropical resort, birds is late game card. So we have 1 card with power. We have no cards with Earth tags. Martian rail, spend an energy to gain money for each city tile on Mars. We don't really have anything that combos with anything. I guess one of the things, starting as the Thor Corporation, we'd start with energy right away, which means we could pop down the fuel factory immediately. It would reduce our energy, but immediately start giving us some titanium and income. So we don't really have anything synergistic going on here, which is a bit unfortunate. Steal into money. Okay, well, I was going to go with Tractor because I haven't played before, but we'll go with Thorgate because it's got a slight amount of synergy, and we are playing with Draft Variant, so either way, we're likely to be able to pick a bunch of Earth cards or pick a bunch of Power cards, but let's go with the Power over here, and I think I will take the Industrial Center to sort of start building up an economy. That, probably the Fuel Factory. This reduces heat production for money, but we don't really have anything early on that's going to generate heat production. We might end up buying surprisingly few cards to get started here. Martian Rail is nice once there's a bunch of cities. Like, we wouldn't play it early, we might hold on to it. This... Do I just sort of not pick very many cards here? Keep more cash and then hope we get some more stuff later on. Release of inert gas isn't bad. Raises your terraforming rating by 2 steps. Terraforming rating, and I'll explain this later on, is points at the end of the game. This is, you know, helps you win, but also you get income per turn based on your terraforming rating. So being able to play this early boosts your terraforming rating. So it'll pay for itself after 7 generations. At home with 5 players, we often end on generation 10 with 4 players, and the AI maybe being a little less optimal for things. I suspect this game will go on to 11 or 12, so most likely this will pay for itself, although, you know, slow us down a little bit early, but also be worth 2 points at the end of the game. I think it's worth grabbing this. So I think we're just going to grab 4 cards, which is a really kind of minimalist start. Do I want to take the Martian Rail? It'll take a long time before this becomes useful. I think I'll hold off for now. I'll just take this 12. It'll give us a bit of flexibility to advance, and that'll be okay. I can always spend money on the standard power project as well, which I have a discount on with Thorgate. So we'll take those 4 and Thorgate Corporation. So what's going to happen here is the player's going to play in order. We're green over here, so we're going to go second. Every generation, whoever was first goes to the bottom and goes up to the top. Every time I say every generation, I want to see a Slayer is born. Buffy fans out there? Yeah, best TV show of all time. So there's that. What happens as well, every generation, everyone gets a chance to take actions. If you pass and take no actions, then you can take no more actions. You get no more turns until the next generation. Otherwise, on your turn, you can take 1 or 2 actions, and then when you end your turn, it'll go to the next player, but it will come back around to you. So in theory, you can take unlimited amount of actions as long as you take at least 1 every time it comes around to you. And in practice, you won't have the money or whatever to take unlimited actions, especially early on. Early on, people tend to take, you know, maybe 2, maybe 3 actions or something like that, split over a couple of turns, and then they tend to just be done. Here's the map. Here's Mars. The game will end when we terraform Mars, which is the point of things. We've got an oxygen meter, a temperature meter, and a number of placed oceans. The game will end when oxygen is at 14%, when the average temperature reaches 8 degrees Celsius, and when all 9 oceans have been placed. At that point, we will calculate our score, and the winner will be determined from that. The basis of your score starts with your terraforming score, which we all start at 20, because your terraforming score is also your income, your base income every turn. And then in addition to that, there'll be a variety of points for things that you place on the board, cities and greeneries primarily, as well as many of your cards might have victory points on them or have some method of accumulating victory points. So you'll add all those together and see what you do. There's also milestones and awards, and we'll try to talk about those a little later. But let's go ahead and start taking our turn. So we got 36 megabytes. What we can do is we can play standard projects over here, which are always available. Power plant is normally 11. It only costs 8 for us because we're Thorgate. And then we can also play cards from our hand. So early on, we do want to kickstart our economy. And that's one of the things with the corporate era rules. You have a lot more of these economy cards that don't necessarily affect the terraform rating. I think if you play with just the standard rules, or they're more likely, rather than called standard, they should be called like the intro rules. I think the set of cards is basically all the cards affect the terraforming in some fashion. So corporate era rules tends to lead to a slightly longer game because you don't start off with as much an economy. You have to build it up. So we kind of want to play all 3 of these, and I think we're going to be able to play all of them, so I guess there's no particular order that we care about. Solar power even gives us a victory point at the end, which is really nice. So we'll play that. So we got a discount. I mean, we had to pay 3 to take it, so in the end, we're still paying about 11 for this, but it's still discounted for us because of Thorgate. So there's different tags over here in these cards. The tags don't do anything in and of themselves. Well, that's not true. The building tag, which is this brown little house here, this means that you can actually help discount the count by paying steel. And there's also a space tag, which you can discount the count of those cards by using titanium. But other than that, the tags don't mean anything in and of themselves. It's just that cards interact with each other based on their tags. So we'll play this. Yes, I want solar power. Oh, I should mention the options I have set over here. I have planetary motion off. It's actually kind of a nice effect when you have it on, but I find it a little disorienting, so I turn it off, even though it is gorgeous. I put the animation speed to fast. My turns automatically end when I played 2 actions. I do leave the confirmation pop-ups on, just in case I misclick. Not that I've ever done that. So, I mean, I could just end here and then it can come back to me, but yeah, let's go ahead. We'll drop the, we'll do the release of inert gases. Boom, done. And then my turn will end because that's 2 actions within my limit. So that'll go around. The other players will take some stuff. Ooh. So yellow has just played a card. It's a blue card. It's an action card. That gives him another action he can play. It's import water from Europa or something. He pays money and can place an ocean. It's cheaper than a normal standard project to place an ocean. But that's something, when you have a card that's got an action on it, you can use that card once per generation. You can use the built-in action once per generation. If it has more than 1 action listed, you can only play 1 of them. Okay, so I want the fuel factory over here. So we're going to do that. It's going to consume. So right now over here, the number at the top, this is my production per turn. So currently I'm producing 2 power every turn. This will reduce my production by 1 every turn. The brown box, things in a brown box is your per turn production. So it'll reduce my power production by 1, but give me titanium every turn and increase my income, which I'm quite pleased with. So we'll do that. There you go. Power production goes down, but titanium production, income goes up. So remember, the income is a combination of your terraforming rating and then plus this. So currently I'm set up to make 23 bucks next turn. I don't have... Wait, why can't I play you? Oh, because this has to be played adjacent to a city tile. Not one I necessarily own, but it has to be done that way. I have 8 bucks left. That is enough for me to purchase a power plant. In a sense, I could just save it. The advantage of building a power plant now is at the end of this turn, it will produce power, which I could potentially use. Not a lot of things actually use power directly. Instead, a lot of things reduce your power production because basically you're hooking something up to a grid. I could save the money to give me more flexibility on the next turn, but I think it actually does make sense to go and plop that down. Especially I get the discount for it, it's going to be great. So that's that. And you're passing. Red is... Oh, is going to play something. Yeah, he played Inventor's cards, or Inventor's Guild, so he gets to look at the top card of the deck and I think choose to buy it or something like that. Oh, he's playing another card as well. I mean, we can look at all his stuff. Wait, what was that you just played? If I click on you, cards played. No, these are my cards played. How do I look at someone else's cards played? Huh, I don't know. Because if like this, I'm looking at his board, I can see his production, everything like that. I guess I can't reference this stuff. I can see what actions he's got available. I can see what tags he's got. Huh, curious. Anyway, so now it's us. I think what we're gonna do, since we have no money, is I will just pass, which will end this. Take no more actions this generation. Red's still got stuff to do. He's gonna play a virus and hurt someone. So there are some cards that like take evil actions against someone. There we go. He's finally done. I can't believe he's taken that many actions on turn 1. That's crazy. So now it's the production phase. So we're going to produce anything that we've got. Energy is the one thing that you can't stockpile. So we produce 2 energy. So we have 2 energy kicking around. Any energy we don't use next turn will get converted to heat right before the production phase, which is fine because heat you can do some stuff with. All right, so now we're going into the draft system. So normally, in the base rules, what would happen, you draw 4 cards from the deck, and you can choose which ones you are going to purchase by paying 3 megabucks each. what's happening here is we draw our 4, we pick one to keep in our hand, not to buy, but to just hold on to for now, and then we pass the other 3 to our left. And then we're going to get 3 cards from the player to our right. We're going to choose which one of those we want to keep, and so on and so forth. And then once we've completed that, we'll still have 4 cards in our hand, at which point we will choose which ones we would like to purchase. Dust Seals is nice. You have to play this before there are... as long as there are 3 or fewer oceans. Right now we're at 0 oceans placed. It doesn't do anything, but it's worth a victory point. It's a cheap victory point, and it's not a bad thing to do. Oh, we're going to set up the security fleet. In fact, if I remember correctly, the last time we did a video, we got a security fleet early and it like just brought us to victory. And I think that's probably what we're going to do again over here. Cost 12, so it's going to cost us 3 to purchase. Well, right now we're just drafting. Right, I have to choose what to draft. You spend a titanium, you add a fighter to this card. It's just a token to this card, and this card is just, it's worth 1 victory point at the end for every fighter on it. Fighters don't do anything, they're just a generic token, but it's worth a ton of victory points at the end. Alright, I'm going to hold on to this one. Some other good stuff over here. This is lower your energy production by 1 to raise your heat production by 3. That is a lot of heat. I suppose, here's the thing. I think taking the security fleet is the strongest move. But because I think the last time I did a video, we like rode the security fleet to victory, I'm tempted to do something different here. Just to showcase something else. Maybe I'll take the carbonate processing, because we can make power fairly cheaply, so taking things that consume our power, I mean, all right. So now we've got that. Next thing, imported greenhouse gases is more heat. Here the temperature has to be above -10 or above -6, well, equal to or greater than. So we're a long way away from those, so I'll just hold on to the imported greenhouse gases. Invention contest. Look at the top 3 cards of the deck, take 1 and discard the other 2. So in the end it's going to cost me 5, right? 3 to buy this and 2 to do that. So it's slightly more expensive than buying a regular card, which costs 3, but we get to look deeply into the deck for it. I think it's probably worth doing that. Or, hold on, the steel works. This is spend 4 energy, not reduce your energy production. It generates steel and oxygen. That's way up in our bailiwick? I don't know. So... and then the final card we got handed to us is imported advanced greenhouse gases. So if we want heat, we can do all those things. I think I'm going to buy this. The Steelworks is really nice, although we will have to up our power production quite a bit to take advantage of it, but I think that's okay. I'm going to leave these aside. We're actually going to generate a fair amount of heat as a side effect of having any excess power left over. So we're going to buy these 2 for 6. And save the rest of our money. We don't have a ton of money here, especially if we want to build some power projects. We are first to act this round. We'll be first to act, or last to act next generation, but that's okay. No one, well, one person has built something on the map. Like, we could plop some things down. One of the things is anything you plop down on the map, if there's symbols where you plop it down, you get those things. So if you place something on our Crasis Mons over here, you get to draw a card. If you place it here, you get 2 plants. Here you get some steel, titanium, so on and so forth. The hexes with a blue outline, those are reserved for oceans. Those are the only places you can place oceans, and unless it's a very special card, that only oceans can be placed there. Technically this here, this was on a tile reserved for an ocean, but this card, whatever that person played, let him place something on an ocean tile. So I could play the Steelworks now, but I wouldn't really be able to use it because I got to be able to spend 4 power per turn to use that. The Industrial Center, we still have to wait for a city to be placed before I can place this next to it. Carbonate processing really will give us quite a lot of heat in an efficient way, but I would really like to get the Steelworks going down. The thing is, I can't afford it. I only get 17 megabucks. I can afford this, but I can't also generate 4 power. So what I'll do is I think I'll play the carbonate processing. And then I will, so now we got 3 heat production. I will buy one of my cheap power plants for 8 instead of 11. So to bring our power production back up to 2 over here. And that's basically going to be it because I'm broke. Oh, there we go. Someone else is playing that invention contest. Okay, he's activating his import water from Europa. So he's paying 12 instead of... So an aquifer normally costs 18. So he's paying 12 to put down oceans instead, which is cheaper. So oceans don't give you any victory points at the end of the game. But when you place an ocean, it gives you a terraforming rating, which is worth victory points at the end. The other thing is, anytime you place a tile adjacent to an ocean, you get 2 megabucks back for every ocean adjacent to the tile you just placed. So some sort of neat things that go on there. Oh, there's that person playing the dust seals. Now, we haven't talked about the milestones and awards. This is probably a good time to do it since I'm not going to do anything else this turn. So milestones, when you have reached something, so for you have a terraforming unit of 35, or you have 3 cities placed, or 3 greeneries, or 8 cards with, or 8 building tags in play, or 16 cards in your hand, you can pay $8 to claim the milestone, which at the end of the game will be worth 5 points, which is pretty significant. What's interesting is only 3 milestones can be claimed over the course of the game, 3 different milestones as well. So 2 of these milestones will not be able to be claimed at the end of the game. And let's say, you know, you have 3 cities, but you can't afford the milestone, and someone else has 3 cities, and they buy this milestone, they get the victory points, you do not. So you have to be able to claim this for yourself after reaching things. Awards are a little bit different. Anyone can fund an award at any time. Only 3 awards will be funded over the course of the game. But the points for this are only determined at the end of the game. So, for example, landlord is whoever has the most tiles in play. So I could fund this award thinking it's going to be me, but at the end of the game, you know, the purple player ends up having more tiles on the board, and so he wins the award at the end of the game, even though I paid for it, which would be kind of disappointing. First place gets 5 victory points, second place gets 2. If there's a tie, they both get the points. It's a sort of generous tie system. Only 3 awards can be funded, and what happens, the first award costs 8, the second is 12, and the last award cost, I think, 20 to fund. So the cost to fund awards are expensive. So if you're planning on going for one, you sort of want to fund it as early as possible so that it's cheaper. Like, for example, we actually might be able to make a run at Thermalist. So Miner's having the most steel and titanium, just banked. Thermalist is most heat bank. Scientist is most science tags. Banker is money production. Specifically this money production. It doesn't care about your terraforming rating, just cares about the money production over here. And landlord, yeah, most tiles. So at this point, we'll just pass because we are broke. I have no idea if I'm playing this well at all. We're sort of setting up some things, but I don't know. There hasn't been, other than the oceans, there hasn't been any terraforming. There's no auction, there's no temperature increase. Oh, there we go. Purple's still taking some actions. I mean, I guess there's still an action I could take. Technically, you can always sell your cards at $1 each. If, you know, it turns out that you don't want to use it, or maybe it's a card that has a, you know, has to be played before the temperature reaches a certain point and it's gone over, then you could just sell them at that point. So we're going to get a production phase over here, and we're going to go last in the play order. At the start of the game, I feel that, like, the play order doesn't tend to matter too much, but later on it's a huge deal as you're trying to place tiles on a very, very crowded map. One of the nice things with a fair amount of power production is a lot of cards. You can build cities from a project. It costs $25. There's a standard project for it. But there's a lot of cards that build cities, and almost all of them reduce your power production because you're sort of hooking things up to a grid. And we'll be able to play those quite easily. Now, Lightning Harvest over here is kind of nice. It's a power tag, so it's cheaper for us. It would normally cost 8, but it's 5 for us. It's only 5. It increases your power production and your money production, and it's worth a victory point. You're going to say, why is that so good? Well, it's because you need 3 science tags to play it. Cards that require science tags tend to be super strong, but it's hard to maybe get that engine going. We have no science tags right now, so we're not going to be interested in that. We could consider the strip mine over here. I mean, this will lower power production, but give us a fair amount of steel production, titanium production, and raise the oxygen by 2 levels, which will give me 2 terraforming rating, which also gives me income. Lake Marinus is nice here because you do get to place 2 ocean tiles, but you need to have a temperature of 0 degrees or above, which we're very far away. And for all I know, all the ocean tiles will be gone by then. Well, I'll just hold on to the strip mine here. I mean, the other thing I could do is, let me take a look at other people. Does anyone have, like, you have 2 science tags. Because what I might want to do is draft the Lightning Harvest and then just not buy it, just to block someone else from doing it. And I think we're going to do it because we really can't afford the strip mine. We've got other things planned for our power right now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draft the Lightning Harvest with no intention of purchasing it. There you go, Dome Crater. So this is interesting. You've got to play this early. It lets you place a city, it gives you some plants, it costs you some power, but gives you income. We'd be very interested in playing this. So this increases your money production by each space tag you have when you play it. I don't have any right now. It increased it by 1. I have titanium to discount that, but no, I'm going to keep the domed crater. or doomed crater, as we like to call it. Power grid is great. When you play it, you increase your energy production by 1 step for each power tag you have. Right now we have 2 power tags. It does count this one, so by playing this, we'd increase our power production by 3. The earlier you play this, the sooner you get your power. The later you play it, the more power you get out of it. We are going to keep it and probably buy it because it combos well with us. We also got the Radchem factory here, lowers our power production, gives us 2 terraforming rating, and is fairly cheap. Especially for us, because boosting our power production is fairly easy. And terraforming rating is money. That's really tempting. So we're not going to buy that. I mean, I think we have to buy the power grid. We have to play this early enough before the oxygen goes up. I think the Radchem factory is a no-brainer. We have to get our income up. So this will cost us 6, which brings us down to 20, which actually doesn't leave us with enough money to play both those cards, let alone the other stuff in our hand. Still, I'm going to have to buy this. We won't play the power grid this turn. I'm going to leave the dome crater. I would love it, but unfortunately it's not in the cards for us to play that. So he's importing some more water. The oceans are going to go really, really fast with this guy having the discounted water thing. It'd be nice to play some tiles next to the ocean here, because we do get $2 back for every ocean adjacent to whatever you put. Ooh, the research output is a great card, because it makes everything else cheaper going forward. Inventors Guild. Yeah, so red over here is going with a fair amount of science stuff. So I'm really happy I blocked the lightning harvest, or whatever it was called. All right, here's us. So we got 2 power production. Hold off on the power grid. I think what we need to do is we do need to get... Oh, there is a city now. So I guess that counts as a city. I want to get this down. Every turn, I can spend $7 to increase my steel production, which will start paying for itself. Most likely. I will play it. So this is a city here. I can play it in any tile adjacent to it. What's nice too is it screws up this guy's city, because he would like to put a bunch of greeneries next to it. So by doing this, we're being kind of mean. We've got titanium production. So picking up 1 extra titanium and placing it, I'll place it here. So by placing it there, we'll collect 2 plants. Not 2 plants per turn, just 2 plants in our bank. We do that. I now have an action I can use, which is pay 7 to give me steel production. We definitely want to make sure to get that as early as possible, so I'll do that now. The steel will allow me to play building cards at sort of a discount. Every steel you cash in saves 2 megabucks from a building card. So steel is basically worth 2 megabucks each. So in a sense, I've raised my income by 2 here, only for the purpose of playing building cards, but that'll work. So space cards and building cards, I can sort of offset some of these costs, which is good, because I'm not making a ton of cash. We still have enough for the Radchem factory, which is great, because that'll raise our terraform rating, its points later on, and it's also income per turn. So again, the sooner we play it, the better. Done, done, done. And I think we're just actually done. We only have $1 left. We've used this action, plus we don't have money for it, so we'll skip here, and then we'll just pass on the next time it comes over. Everyone has passed. So we'll do that. Okay, we have a bit of an economy going on. I feel like, our sort of point and terraforming sort of play is a little slow. But, I mean, our terraform rating's 24. We haven't actually boosted any of the stuff on the right-hand side. But our terraform rating's as high as anyone else, which isn't too bad. We got a little bonus income, and then, yeah, some resources here. We got a bunch of heat. Now, so anytime you can spend 8 stored heat to raise the average temperature 1 step on Mars, which is kind of nice. Now, you may have noticed over here, there's some extra little symbols. So someone raised the average temperature to -24. As a bonus, you get to increase your heat production by 1 step. That happens again at -20. If you're the person who raises the temperature to 0, you actually get to place an ocean, which is kind of nifty. If you raise the oxygen level to 8%, you get to boost the temperature by 1. So we'd actually very much like it if we could be the person to raise the heat to -20, because we can spend 8 heat to raise it 1 step, but I'd kind of like to maybe delay it. We'll see. Anyway, back at the drafting phase over here. We're a long way away from being able to plant trees. Rover construction, whenever any city is placed, gain $2. I think we're going to want to do that. It's early enough in the game. This should pay for itself fairly well. And we can offset the cost a little bit with steel. There's artificial photosynthesis here, which can raise the power level by 2. It's a science tag as opposed to an electrical tag. It can also raise your plant stuff, but I don't think we need to do that. We actually could play nitrophilic moss. Actually, I think we're going to want to do this. We have 2 plants in the bank, so we can pay for that, but then it increased our plant production by 2, which is very powerful, placing greeneries later on. I think that's actually going to be insanely strong for us. Deep well heating is a power card, raises the temperature by 1 as well, and gives us some power. Yeah, we'll grab that. This is copy another building card. I don't think it just copies the production block, so anything in the brown area, so we could double the fuel factory or this or that or whatever. But it actually doesn't save us money. It is worth a science tag, which is nice. There's algae as well, which isn't bad. I might just grab this just to block someone else from accumulating more science tags. And what was the last card we got? Fish needs the temperature to be greater than or equal to 2 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I think I'll just buy these 2 for $6 and be relatively pleased with that, actually. What's our timer at? Okay, 30 minutes in. I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a cut here. I think, generally speaking, a game of this takes about 3 episodes for us to go through. I think when I play it, I play it in like under an hour, but with all the talking and explaining and strategizing out loud, I think it takes me about an hour and a half to play. So 3 episodes sounds about right. So we'll go ahead and put a cut in here. We are in Generation 4. With the AI, I expect we'll go to Generation maybe with 4 players in the AI, maybe something like Generation 12. So that's not too bad. I like it. Thanks for watching, folks. One of the reasons I also wanted to make this video, in addition to the fact that I'm playing Surviving Mars recently, is that currently Terraforming Mars, I believe, is on sale on Steam when I'm recording this. This is May the 2nd. I think Terraforming Mars is 40% off on Steam right now. So if you're interested in it, go ahead and pick it up. Again, one of the greatest real-life board games you can play. Not that hard to learn, but so many different options. In the digital version, the AI is a little weak. There's a multiplayer, like online mode, which I've never really played with. But yeah, it's very nice. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.